All right, so let's go through and let me present that. Look at how your brain is actually going to help encode the memories, how it stores them, and how you can actually actively start to retrieve the information that's in your brain. How do you get it out of long-term memory? All right, so let's look at the brain. This is a real quick review for you guys. Okay, but basically there's different parts of your brain, right, that deal with memory. So you have your frontal lobe over here. Okay, that's going to be responsible for explicit memories. Okay, we talked about that the other day. To review, okay, explicit are your declarative memories. Okay, so these are your conscious memories of facts and events. Your hippocampus over here is also going to be involved with explicit memories. Then you have your cerebellum over here, and then your basal ganglia, which those are responsible for processing and encoding your implicit memories, okay, which these are your non-declarative, right, unintentional things that you have that you don't consciously recall. It's all like the procedural and motor stuff, right, which is why it's part of your cerebellum. Then we have Amy down here. Okay, so your amygdala, okay, know that that's responsible for all emotion-related memory formation. So you do form and encode memories and associate them a lot with emotion, and so that's the job of the amygdala. All right, then we get this lovely thing called LTP. Okay, LTP is long-term potentiation. Okay, and basically what this does is it increases a cell's firing potential. So after your neurons have been stimulated, and it has to have rapid stimulation, it increases a cell's firing potential. And this is the neural basis for memory and learning. And so basically what happens, the way they figured this out is you had people who they would stimulate certain memory circuit connections in the brain, and it increased the sensitivity for hours and days of that memory circuit. So the sending neuron needed less prompting to release neurotransmitters and more connections than exist between neurons. So basically just know that LTP has to do with increasing firing potential. Okay, it's long-term potentiation. All right, then we have memory retrieval. Okay, so now that our information is in our memory, how do we get it out? Okay, that's the hard part. It's there. You just have to figure out how you're going to go through and get everything out. Okay, so we have recognition. And basically the way recognition works is you're matching up a current fact with something that's already in your memory, right? So it's just recognizing the similarities between two things. And so that can help you recall information. Oh, well, this is just like this. And then you just go start, spouting stuff off. Then you have recall, okay, which is retrieving memories with external cues. Okay, and so we'll go through and talk about a lot of these different cues. Okay, so ways to help you remember things, which is really important. Okay, so there's what's called priming. Priming is the activation of particular associations. Often it's unconscious. So like if I were in class and I said the word rabbit at some point, and later in the class period, I told y'all to write down the word hare. Well, because I said rabbit, some people would write down the word hare as an H-A-R-E, like a rabbit hare, as opposed to writing down hair, H-A-I-R. Okay, so it's priming. It's getting you ready to think certain ways. When you're trying to retrieve information, you also are going to use things like the primary and recency effect. Primary is like if you're trying to remember a whole bunch of information, like if you're studying a study guide, you're going to remember the stuff at the beginning of the study guide, which is because it was primary. Then you're going to remember the stuff at the end of the study guide because that's recency. That's what you most recently studied. Okay. And that's also dealing with what's called serial position effect. So when you go to the grocery store and you run out a list and you leave the list at home, which happens all the time. Okay, you can remember everything at the beginning of the list. You can remember everything at the end of the list, but it's the stuff in the middle that kind of gets fuzzy. Okay, then we have context and state-dependent memories. Okay, context-dependent memory, this is where you use cues that are specific to a memory that'll help you with recall. So if you walk into a room and you forget why you walked into that room, and then you go back and retrace your steps to remember why you went into that room in the first place, okay, that's helping you remember something. That's context dependent. Or if you're brushing your teeth in the morning and you realize, oh, I'm out of toothpaste. I need to get toothpaste, before I come home. Then you go through the day and you forget about toothpaste, right? Because you've done a whole bunch of other stuff during your day. And then as soon as you walk into the bathroom, it's like, oh, crap, I forgot to buy toothpaste. Okay, that's what context-dependent memory is. Then you also have state-dependent memory. This is memory that is aided by your mental state. Okay, so it has to do with your mood and your emotions. That's why it's also known as mood congruent. Cannot talk. Okay, which basically your mood serves as retrieval clues. So if you're in a bad mood, you tend to kind of look at things negatively, and then you start to remember all of the times that things have gone bad in your life. Okay, if you're happy, you tend to remember all of the happy stuff. Okay, so that's the difference between context dependent and state dependent / mood congruent memory. Okay, so this essentially was module 33. Next one, we will go look at forgetting. So that's a fun one full of lots of vocab. So